Hey guys, Trollsies here with an updated node guide. I haven't actually updated my guide since Kamisylvia came out, and I was also reading the comments below and had some suggestions from friends, pretty much saying that not a lot of people have the 300 to 350 CP. Most people have in the range of 200 to 250. So this guide is going to be for those people with some lower CP, and later down the week or into the month I will upload another video for people with 300 to 350 CP. But I digress, let's get started. So we're going to go down to Old Wisdom Tree, and, well, rather we're going to go down to Kamisylvia because you have an option here. You can either A, go to Old Wisdom Tree, but you have to pay to win lodging for about $9. If you don't want to do that, instead you can go to Grana. It's much more expensive, an extra like 30 CP for only like 9% extra profit a month. I do not suggest it, but if you do not want to pay to win, this is about the only other way to get a lot of money in trading now. So we're going to do mineral workbenches here. If you do Grana, I don't suggest it, but if you do, you'll get the wood workbench here, the crop factory here, and then the other crop factory here. Do not get level 2 workshops. All level 2 workshops are almost the worst thing ever. You just want to use the level 1s in Grana, and you'll send Grana workers there. But let's say you do it my way, and you go to Old Wisdom Tree, and you actually, there we go. So you actually pay to win the storage, and the reason we go Old Wisdom Tree is because the workers in Old Wisdom Tree have about a 95% chance at being Artisan. So what you're going to do is you're going to buy Artisan Pepu workers, keep buying them until you get a +3 ore crate, a 2 +3 grain veggie fruits, also known as produce crates, and a +3 timber crate. Now, it's not a bug according to Cacao. It's not bannable. I messaged them and everything, so don't feel anxious about that. Only problem is you do have to add real money. So let me show you what you're going to do with those workers, just kind of preemptively. And since there's no actual workshops in Old Wisdom Tree, unlike Grana, where you can just send Grana workers to Grana, we have to send Old Wisdom Tree workers to Calpheon. And that's when we'll get the wood workbench here for 1 CP, the mineral workbench here for 2, crop factory for 2, and then another crop factory for 2. That's what I would do, because when they're +3, it's only about, I think it's like 7.5 minutes or 6.5 minutes for a crate, since it's +3. So you're actually getting 4 crates from each worker. And since it originates from Old Wisdom Tree, the worker does, the crate goes to Old Wisdom Tree and it becomes an Old Wisdom Tree crate for the distance bonus. So let me keep going on with the actual path, or start the path rather. So we're going to go from Old Wisdom Tree up through the Kamisylvia entrance and stop here at Old Longleaf Tree Forest to get our first node. And this is the Cedar Timber node, Cedar Sap, and that is for Calpheon timber crates. We're going to go through Cryoville, Longleaf, Trent, and up to Lumberjack. Get that Cedar Timber and Spirit Leaf. We're going to go to Abandoned Monastery and to Treant Forest, where we're going to get the other Fir Timber and Bloody Tree Knot, which is good for Sinner's Blood. Go to Tobar's Cabin to Mancha Forest, and we're going to get the Fir Timber, Fir Sap. Go to Rudum Outstation, just through the Rudums and up to Phony's Cabin, where we're going to get the Fir Timber and Fir Sap again. Make sure you send a Calpheon worker to Phony's Cabin, and you send Trent workers to the other 3 tree nodes in this area. Continuing, we're going to go to North Kaya to Gabino Farm, and that'll connect to Calpheon. So from Calpheon, we're going to go up through here and into Quint Hill, and we're going to get the Birch Timber and Red Tree Lumps. For the Calpheon crates once again, we're going to go back to Calpheon, up through Diaz Farm, Northern Wheat Plantation. Side note, if you do beer, you can get the wheat and the barley. If you don't cook, you don't do beer, ignore it. But continuing, go to Burney Farm, and we go to Bear Tree Ruins, where we're going to get the other Birch Timber. Another side note, this node is good if you make gathering clothes, I believe it is, for trades of forest, or just any sort of alchemy or crafting. So you can get that for an extra CP too. But continuing on from Northern Wheat Plantation, we go to Old Dandelion, get the Birch Timber, down to Diaz Farm, to Delphinites, and onto Oz Pass, where we're going to get our final Calpheon Timber, which is a cedar timber node, and Monk's Branch, which is good for Wise Man's Blood. So, down from Oz Pass, we're going to go to Keplen Quarry, and we're going to get this coal node. Super cheap and is great for making steel. So, now we have pretty much all of Calpheon done. So, we're going to move over from Calpheon and into Burgai Den, Bandit's Den, Forest of Seclusion, which is where we're going to get copper and maple timber, Toscani Farm, and Bartali Farm. Another kind of side note, if you do cooking, you can get the potato, if not, ignore it. And that'll connect us to Velia. A couple things I'm going to note on the kind of that path. I would not get the Blade Bogues node. It's actually not that good. I mean, unless you like really want Trace of Earth or something, but Trace of Ascension is usually on the market. So unless you really need that, I would ignore that node. And you might have noticed a lot of people go down this way. I don't, because it's actually more expensive to go down this way, since you have to also connect Heidel Pass to Northern Guard Camp to get the full distance bonus when going by sea. So it's much better just to kind of go the straight and narrow. So where were we? Velia? Pretty close? Yeah, Bartelli Farm. So Bartelli Farm, Velia, and we're also going to branch off into Boundless Forest to get the Ash Timber and Spirit Leaf. Spirit Leaf's good for Clown's Blood. Go to Velia to Coastal Cave, which will give us iron ore and copper ore, both for ore crates, and to Coastal Cliff, which is iron ore for another ore crate, specifically steel. Go to Velia again, go to Forest to Plunder. This is a good, arrow mushrooms are good for demi-human elixirs, if you do alchemy. And then go to Goblin Cave, where we're going to get copper ore and ash timber, both for more crates. Go up to Ahwaz Hill, and we're going to get the ash timber and ash sap, which is ash sap's good for certain elixirs in alchemy, and the ash timber will be used for the either the Serenity or the Balanos crate, one of the two. I think it's Balanos, yeah. Okay, so let's go. I'll show you the actual sea route in a second, but we're going to go down to Heidel first. And from Heidel, we're going to go left to Lynch Farm, and we're going to get the Trace of Savagery. The reason we want Trace of Savagery is because it can be made into a couple useful things. That's Tyrant's Blood, Metal Solvent for pure crystals that you can shove into alchemy stones or sell on the market, and fishing rods. You can make the crystals and turn them into fishing rods and sell those on the market instead. Continuing, go to Northern Plain, and we're going to get maple timber, red tree lump. You can also turn in red tree lumps to Laura for like, I think it's 50 CP daily. Throwing it out there, not a lot of people know that one. Okay, so we're going to go down to Glish and get the Southern Sinaga node for iron ore and rough mud crystals. Mud crystals can be sold in the market. Iron ore, once again, is for the steel crates. And from Heidel, we're also going to take a different path than you probably see most people have, or at least in my last video. Instead of going down this way, I go across because it is actually cheaper. So we're going to go across all the way to Kamisilvia Temple and then back down to Castle Ruins to get the maple timber and maple sap node. I'll go up to Soldier's Grave and then into Tariff, and we're only doing that so we can use Tariff workers in various regions of Media. So let's go back up to Kamisilvia Temple and into Ancient Ruins. It's another optional node. You can get Trace of Earth or Trace of Chaos. I don't suggest it, but it's out there if you want to. Go to Ancient Fissure, the Zinc Ore, Powder of Time. Go up through Canyon into Elric Shrine, and we're going to get the first timber for the Media crates, which are very slow building. You'll kind of get them over time, over a couple months. So white cedar timber there, up to Northern Highlands, get the maple timber, the white cedar timber, and then back over here to Stonetail to get the Arcia timber, the other timber used in the crate. Let's go now over to Altanova. We're going to go to Altanova entrance and then branch down. We're going to get the iron node here and the zinc node here. Powder of Darkness is another thing for Clown's Blood, by the way. And Powder of Ore we can use for jewelry crates in the future. If you do have to get rid of a node because you're just a little bit short, get rid of this iron node. It's 3 CP. It's relatively expensive. But that's only a node I'd really get rid of in this video if you absolutely had to. Alright, let's go back up to Awakening Bell and into Omar Lava Cave. And in Omar, we're going to get the coal and the zinc, and it's another platinum ore node, which is very good. Just kind of a side note, if you do pay to win storage, you will save, or not storage, lodging, you do save quite a bit, because I don't have any lodging here. I use 4 workers here over here, and then I don't have any lodging over here, and I use 4 workers over here. Another kind of little mini note is make sure to send a Heidel worker to this zinc node. It's quicker, and it allows you, if you do pay to win storage, to actually have enough workers to send in tariff without spending the very expensive lodging over here, which is for 2 workers. And if you don't pay to win storage, it's fine. You're just going to have to send out an extra Altanova worker or add extra lodging in Heidel or something like that, but it's not a huge deal. So where were we? I think we finished Media. I guess we'll go back up to, I'll show you something at Heidel. This is just an interesting node to get if you do cooking, because you can get cooking honey and a pumpkin, but cooking honey is the main reason. But yeah, it looks like we're pretty much done with this side of the world. So let's go up to Velia, and we're going to take the sea route. I'm not going to read off each of the islands' names. They're all kind of weird, and there's a lot of them. So the only real trouble with this is you have to physically go to these islands and talk to the manager. But other than that, this is a way cheaper route than any other route in the game to connecting Velia, or pretty much anywhere to Valencia. But we connected all that the way over there, all the way to Ancado. And from Ancado, we're going to do something not a lot of people, at least I don't see a lot of people do this. You go to Ancado, into Atlas Farmland, to Ivory Wasteland, and then we go into the Gavinia nodes, which are very good. They have titanium ore, which is very useful, powder of flame, which is used in alchemy. I don't really use the rough violet crystals, but you mainly want it for the titanium ore, and that goes, whoops, that goes for all of these nodes. It's titanium and Vandian ore, powder of darkness, clown's blood, Gavinio, Vandian ore, and titanium ore, another powder of flame. These crates, they're about the same price as, like, I think they're more expensive than steel crates, and it's only one material you process into bars and then send to Old Wisdom Tree or Grana, depending where you're working from. But I would highly suggest you get all 4 of those nodes there. All right, so we'll go back down to Ancado, down to Rakshan, and into Valencia City, and that will complete the connection. If you don't yet have M2, or I guess Artisan 2, or whatever it is now, you should always sell your crates to Arihaza for XP. You always want to sell to Arihaza for XP if you have trash crates. Don't sell any of your valuable crates without M2 or whatever it is now. You want that buff. Okay, so now you have pretty much all your nodes set up, with a couple exceptions, like you get more CP, invest into Grana and start those workers, and have both Old Wisdom Tree and Grana workers going at once. So stuff you can do like that, but for the 200 to 250 CP range, this is pretty much going to have you set up. So let me show you a couple things that I was talking about you can craft, but I didn't get into very specific details. So what are the wood workbench? Just to show you a few. The Calpheon Timber Crate, it's your big one, which uses all the Calpheon woods, birch, fir, cedar. The Media Timber Crate, the very slow building one, takes a couple of months to get thousands of them. And that's just the white cedar and Arcia. And the Balanos or Serendia. I do Balanos since maple is the limiting resource. Since both Balanos and Serendia crates require maple, it's better just to make one or the other. And in the video, I showed you the Balanos crate because it's ash, which is a lot easier to get than pine. It's just more accessible. So you're going to make the Balanos timber, Calpheon timber, and Media timber crates. So that should be all for wood workbenches. And then we'll go over here to the mineral workbench. And you're going to be making quite a bit of ore workbenches, or ore crates. So we're going to make brass or bronze, whatever one uses zinc. I'm not 100% sure, but when you mix zinc and melted copper together, it's going to be brass or bronze, one of those two. You'll save a bunch of those crates and sell them. The steel crates, so that's iron shards and coal, 5 of each, I believe. And you're going to make the box of Vandian. We actually want the box of Vandian, the box of titanium. You want both of those. The ingots, though, not the ores. You want the ingot crates. Vandian ingot, Vandian ore. Or Vandian ingot, titanium ingot. And you're also going to save up your jewelry crates. So if you do any sort of like rock gathering, if you need rough stone for your guild, if you need rough stone for alchemy tools or cooking tools, then you're eventually going to save up enough gold, enough silver, and enough platinum to make these crates. It's a very slow building crate. It would probably take you a year to get thousands of them. So it's just something you kind of save up over a long time of playing, and every once in a while make them. But don't just run over like 5 crates or something. It's just a waste of time. Okay. That's most stuff over here for that. And then, let me see. Okay, yeah. This is the crop factories. What you're going to want to make is special sunflowers. You can make some other things. It doesn't have to be sunflowers, but that's the one that's most readily available in the marketplace, sells for a high price, and is kind of like quote-unquote meta or whatever. I suggest you do it just because it's easy to do. You can buy seeds all the time, but if you need the fruits that you get from like actually physically breeding them, you can do some other things like mushrooms or peppers or something like that. But I highly suggest you do special sunflowers, as I have 2 of them and 2 +3 produce. Just kind of now that we're on the topic of farming, make sure you have farms with any leftover CP. Don't leave Velia and Valencia connected like this if you do not have 10x7 farms. It's just not worth it. This CP is just sitting here. You can always pull up your farms, turn them in, and then reconnect this later. You can always do that. But you just don't want CP sitting there doing nothing. It's the same thing with Glish. If you have a +3, what do you call it? A +3 tool workbench. Don't just let the +3 tool workbench sit there and all of this extra CP sit there if you don't have 10x7 farms. 10x7 farms are extremely important. It takes 10 minutes to manage. You do it 3 to 4 times a day. It's less than an hour, and you make roughly 500 to 900 mil if you get 10x10s, but it's good money. There's no reason not to do it. Other than that, it's not really much else I can say for money making completely AFK. Other than you can make as I said before, you can make the Balanos or Etheria fishing rods with the pure copper crystals and pure iron crystals when you turn the trace of savagery into metal solvent. There's the only other thing you can really do completely AFK. Anyways, I hope this video helped, and if you could send it to a friend that needs help, that'd mean a lot. Y'all have a nice day.